Oh yes, legends. Hope you're doing absolutely great today. Let's analyze the situation. Bitcoin pumping, getting that momentum, trying to break the value area high. Make sure to absolutely destroy that like button on your way in. And let's analyze the situation here all together for the price of Bitcoin. Let's go. Much love to everybody. Let's analyze the situation. We are moving up here into heavy resistance. We've just had a nice grind to the upside here, coming to the value area high. We're actually trading above the value area high of this trading zone that we've had for the last 5 weeks. Is this going to be a solid breakout in the next coming minutes, if not hours, or will we heavily reject? We're going to talk about the Elliot wave scenarios, levels of resistance. We're just tackling this area. Seems like that there is a little bit of selling pressure. However, it's creating massive bullish CVD divergence. Bybit brothers and sisters are shorting like crazy here. On the delta, we can see many millions coming in here throughout the last 1 to 2 hours. There are actually some short trades entering here, creating those lower lows on the CVD, higher lows on price action, likely going to take out this local high again. I'm interested in double tops here in this territory. Very, very interested, and might get an execution live here. This is easy to execute for me. It's claim the highs, wick above them. If we create a local double top, for me, it's going to be an acceptable quick entry. As you get the rejection, protect position. The short position that I entered right over here, I had 2 attempts to get into that short trade. Managing risk very, very well. Of course, that turned out to play out very, very nicely. However, if that gets stopped out, of course, a significant chunk of that short trade is going to get stopped out, unfortunately, at break even. Well, it's a slight profit here. Profits were taken. Not enough reasons for me to add to the short position. As explained yesterday, we need at least 24 to 48 hours. We've only been grinding with a solid local uptrend for the moment, and we need to break it down. We need to break down, is this uptrend, extremely bullish? Are we forming multiple 1-2s here and we just ready for the third wave breakout? It could be. It's either a sweet rejection zone where we do form that lower high, and I'm going to speculate on it, especially if we do claim those as a scalp day trader entry. Okay, just going to explain as a scalp day entry. Local double top for me is going to be acceptable. If we just wick above this recent high, if we break it, there's some interesting levels to the upside. Level number 1 is the 7/8 Fibonacci retracement. We do know that that level can be very, very solid indeed. So we're just going to come up to that level. Okay, and we'll consider either taking a double top if we break from the local highs, just because this zone is crucial. Okay, managing risk as always. If we break out, it is what it is. All right, anybody that catched any long position on Monday based on the data that we were providing, the analysis that we were providing on Friday, pay attention to the weekend, because we might be grinding here to the downside into level of support, value area low, point of control of this entire range. We were looking for that slow momentum to the downside, and as we can see here, getting that bounce throughout Monday, and continuing Tuesday, coming into above the value area high. So the 66k region was acceptable in the weekend to look for that double triple bottom, slow little channel-y structure to then get that bounce. Whoever's in that long position, or decided to take a long throughout the beginning of the week, very good indeed. Okay, overall, there's not enough reasons for me to add to the swing short position. It could be a couple of days, depending on the rejection. If we do get a rejection in this area, we'll be analyzing a little bit here the situation, because what I would want to see to add to my existing short position, as it is a swing trade, right? I'm talking about a local scalp short trade, managing risk very well to try and get that sweet spot entry, right? Those entries that look absolutely epic, which is literally catching the high, right, of a major pivot. We are in that territory at this zone. So this is why I like looking for double tops or major levels of resistance, which would be the 7/8 Fibonacci. There is also a WXY target potential here, which is reading this as a W right there, your wave X, and another zigzag to the upside. Of course, this would be the low of your wave X. We will go into detail with that, but the 1-to-1 extension is coming exactly at the 7/8 Fibonacci. Okay, that is if we treat it as so. That zone at 72,250 is a level that I would be waiting for if we break out the recent highs for an entry. This zone where we at currently has the potential of being a high. Okay, has the potential of being a lower high. The overall question, of course, how do I enter? Where do I enter? What if it breaks? Well, we either locally double top right now, or we hit the 7/8 Fibonacci and we reject from that point. And if it breaks, there is no short trade to be taken. It needs a double top locally or hit the 7/8. That's how I am treating a new entry scalp short position. Okay. How would I, add to this short position that I currently have here at 73.3K? We would have to see an impulse down. We would have to see a solid impulsive move to the downside. And where I would have to add to this position is once we get that impulsive move to the downside, look for that corrective bounce. That's when I will be adding to the short position, understanding that this could be a wave 1, wave 2, another wave 1 and 2, and then we're just looking for that breakdown in a third wave. So I still need a bit of time to be confident in adding to this existing short, because we want to do things safely and responsibly to remain good P&L, right, for the month, because it has been a okay month. Actually, it's been pretty good. Last 30 days in this range, 30 to 50 days, was actually not a bad trading environment. Okay, let's go through the comment section, say hello to the beautiful community, and we'll break down a few scenarios here for the price of Bitcoin. But it is trying to get above value area high. We know that value area high can create those fake outs or value area low, and eventually for the bears, it is actually quite important to maintain a lower high from here. There is another bearish case scenario, which is a double top from here. If the price double tops from here, I will consider a short. There is a scenario, a combination of a correction here, which is looking for a flat scenario. Okay, I don't like it too much, but anyway, regardless, it's just a liquidity grab above the local highs, right? There's for me, this is an acceptable double top area to get into a short. That's if we were to reach 74K, right? Okay, let's go through comment section. Say hello to the beautiful community. Good to see you. Much love to everyone. Okay, let me just quickly go through the comment section. Smash up that like button if you do enjoy the content. Let's go. Today I'm happy. I actually went to CrossFit. Today. I'm feeling weak, but I'll get strong again. Let me know in the comment section. Do you keep healthy? Do you keep fit? Do you exercise? I've had a few weeks of being a little bit hectic, and I'm happy that I've finally gone to my first CrossFit class from many months, which I'm happy about. Of course, keeping fit, keeping alive. Yo market, how are you doing? All right. Oh, Supremasan, much love to you. Lottie, Archie, how are you doing? Beth Maria Vallejos, much love. Yo, let's go, Andy Momats. Let's go. Like the video, guys. Thank you very much, Momtaz. Much appreciated. Distant Music, how are you doing? Suzanne, hello, everyone. Let me know, guys. First of all, let's do that quick disclaimer before we talk about any longs and shorts and all sorts, right? Because I want to know what you are doing, guys. I want to know what you are doing. This content is for educational purposes only and is not financial advice. The information provided is not guaranteed to be accurate or complete. I always conduct your own research, okay, before making any financial decision, please. I am going to have to do the walk of shame because I have been bearish. Detected nicely that this could have been the lower high at the anchored VWAP. Now is the moment that you start getting in doubt. I'm not too sure about this. You know, what if we continue pumping and take out the highs? Oh my goodness. Regardless, it's, you know, it's a profitable trade. It's always good for the price to, you know, to take some profits, especially when you're at the zone. You know, we were very much aware on Friday, guys. You got a possible wave 3 here. What we're looking at is a, you know, few 4-5s in this zone to get that bounce, right? Potentially Sunday or Monday morning, guys, right? This was the drawing into the weekend from Friday's stream. You know, we are expecting a bounce here, hopefully. In the bearish case, right, I'm a little bit more heavy in short than long, actually. Well, I'm more heavily in long spot, but regarding a trade setup, more heavily into the short, of course. Okay, so for me, if we do get to 73.5k, it's going to be a little bit of a pinch because I had really, really good profits in the last few days down here at the low 67, 66k zone. But profits were taken, right? This is how we need to play the game. Let's see. I mean, it's not all bullish just because we're pumping. We are at a critical zone that we either break here successfully or we start rejecting in the next coming hours. This is why local double tops, if the local double top fails, the 7/8 Fibonacci is going to be looked at very, very carefully, because 7/8 Fibonacci is a very, very strong rejection point, right? When we do take a look at the 7/8 Fibonacci, for example, from this pivot low to this pivot high, this looks like it's going to break down and go to the low. However, where did we bounce? I'm just going to be guessing here. I would, the 7/8 Fibonacci, right? 7/8 Fibonacci, major pivot low, major pivot high. What Fibonacci level held like a boss? At 62.7 here, it was the 7/8 Fibonacci from this low to this high. With that said, because we have the potential of a 3-wave move finished to the upside, man, getting these fake outs at the value area high, double tops, if we break out that local double top, I'll be looking for an intraday short setup at the 7/8 Fibonacci. It doesn't make sense to add to my short position here at the moment, as explained, because, yeah, I mean, this has the possibility of being multiple 1-2s, and it breaks out in a third wave. And then I'm like, this, you know, it's, you know, the information provided cannot be accurate, guys, all the time. I'm sorry. But, you know, overall, this has really been a relatively boring few weeks. It's been nice to spot the high right over here. I mean, we might spot the highs here, but it's a moment to be a little bit cautious, right? Manage risk. There will be more clear information in the next few days, but this is ramping up pretty strongly, I have to say. But good detection of these highs, right? This was on Wednesday on stream. Happy to short a rejection from the anchored VWAP. And on Friday, look for that exhaustion into the weekend here, okay? Literally looking for the 66k zone to hold and, you know, form a double triple bottom. We're looking for a few 4-5s, and this bounce was very much expected coming into the week, right? To get to 70k region, right? Now we're here, and now it's like, dude, are we going to create a lower high or not? I don't know, guys. I'm sorry. I don't know. Hang on a minute. Is this... Let me just fix this, because I might be eating a little bit of the chart. I don't know, guys. I don't have a crystal ball, but I do indeed have crystal balls. So I do not know exactly what is going to unfold here. For the bullish case, which I do not like, we'll be discussing the lower time frame, which I think is the most important at this moment. But this is a lower high zone possibility, I have to say. I'm currently in no short. It was valid to get an entry at these SFP levels, okay? However, you know, I didn't manage to catch the SFP, so I would be waiting for a local double top. But these are valid SFP scenarios. I mean, you could reject from this point. You know, if I would have entered here, I would probably got stopped out at break even already. I really like the double tops. They're just much better to get into an entry and protect position. So it is the top of this order block. I think this is a Devil provided an order block, 8-hour order block from this zone, and it's basically the highs of this mini range. So, you know, it's getting wicky, it's getting a reaction. You know, it's a very, very valid zone to attempt a rejection point because it's an order block. It's a major range where you do have some lower highs, and the price does have the potential, of course, here of rejecting in this territory, right? So at the moment, you know, the only short is the one from higher. Very, very poor long position here from that range explained on Friday. Okay, on Friday we did explain that, you know, how we were likely going to bounce here at this, you know, 66, 67k zone after getting that exhaustion. However, because it's such a poor entry on the breakout of trend, got into a very, very small position here, which is just to ride the possibility of the price, you know, getting that bullish momentum, right, above 70k. So we're going to break down the lower time frames. At higher time frames, I think we pretty much know what we're looking at on the higher time frame. I'm really, you know, this is coming into the zone of interest for the bears to step in aggressively and reject. Will it be this zone over here in a local double top, or will it be the 7-8? I don't know, but I will be willing to attempt the entry at a local double top or at the 7-8 Fibonacci. It is true that we do have a daily level up there as well, which is slightly above. These daily levels, you know, can be treated also as swing failure patterns. It's at 72.683. Interesting zone, right? Where it could get that pullback. We could be getting back inside of the value area, okay, in the next coming hours. And these are levels that I'm going to treat as a failed break above. Okay, we might get them on stream, very possible. Let's just see, right? We'll dive in through the Elliott wave scenarios. Not everybody is built for Elliott wave theory, but obviously there's a lot of scenarios with this pump, but we can discuss them. We are going to discuss them. Okay, make sure to grab your cup of tea, your cup of coffee, and let's go through the comment section to just say hello to the people that have joined right now. Good old English cup of tea. That's what I'm drinking. Let me know what you are drinking, guys. Let me know anybody. Let me know your trading setups. I'm going to go through the comment section before we dive in through the lower time frame. Elliott wave shorting now is actually dangerous. You know, as explained, Suzanne, I mean, shorting here was actually dangerous as well, right? You know, you are pumping into, you know, the momentum is getting aggressive, but it is true that we are coming into the value area high. We are above the value area high, but this is a very, very fakey out territory. There's lots of shorts entering, so it is common for all of these shorts entering, right, on Bybit mainly. I don't know, these Bybit guys are always, you know, making these double triple tops, making this wiki scenario to stop them out in this region, but they are shorting like crazy. When you do take a look at the delta here, there's, you know, almost 4 million shorts on the delta, 3, 1.7, and there's people shorting here on Bybit. So you kind of want to get them wicked out. You want to wick them out, and we want to be the wick, right? We want to be the double top wick, basically, to stop these people that are trying to short. Let's see if that does happen or not. But it's without a doubt a zone of rejection or breakout, right? So local double tops here are looking relatively interesting, I have to say. Let's go through comment section. Mohammed, much love. Hello, Andy. Joan, much love, my man. I think that you are the same Joan that's in the community that's providing the insane amount of Elliott wave theory scenarios on the lower time frame. Much love to you, my man, if that is you. Luis, ¿cómo estás? Yo, BTC go down or up? Well, for the moment up, right? For the moment up, we cannot give everything here, guys, right? It is a zone which I'm going to analyze the lower time frame. It does have the potential of forming a high. This zone has very much a possibility in forming a high. Okay, and that we'll break down the different possibilities. But so far, last week, we talked about the rejection actually being a swing short trading zone at 74, 73K territory. And on Friday, look for that bounce coming into the week. Monday, Tuesday, we getting the bounce. I have to say, it would have been much nicer to get a bit of a three-wavy structure here to the upside, right? A bit more of time, then get that 5-wave move impulse here into this zone. Then this would have been an epic short, much easier to say, guys, I'm really looking to short in this territory if we would have got a little bit of a 3-waver and detect that 5-wave move up here into the golden pocket 7-8 Fibonacci territory. But we just grinding pretty strongly here. It's been a quick bounce from yesterday, right? Quick bounce from early Monday till evening Tuesday today, depending on where you are. So 24 to 48 hours of a really grinding rally here to the upside. So we need to talk about the bearish case. The bearish case is that we don't have much room to the upside left, and we are looking for a lower high. Okay, and the bullish case scenario would be literally building either multiple 1-2s, okay, which I will break down now on the lower time frame, or you have the possibility of an impulse and you form an ABC flat here. You come down to the point of control, and then you actually gain the momentum to the upside in the next coming days. Bearish case, forming a lower high, which I like very much, right? I like very much the possibility here. This is why this area for me is a possible rejection zone. This is why an internal double top is great for an entry. The 7-8 Fibonacci, if hit, if tapped, I'm going to treat it as so. If we do manage to pump up to this zone and get that rejection, I'm going to enter stop loss at the high. If I get stopped out, okay, that's fine. If I don't get stopped out and we start moving down aggressively, it's just an epic entry. It's just a very good risk to reward. I don't need to go all in here because, this has the potential of really rolling over, right? All about managing risk, all about understanding your entries, your strategy, and I'm just sharing what I'm going to do here in this zone if we either create a local double top or we hit the 7-8 Fibonacci. If it is broken, there will be no new short entered here, and I'm happy to show the positions that I'm in. If I do get into this short, it will be on stream. Well, we got into the short, stop loss here, I'm protecting here, and we'll see, right? We'll see how that develops, of course, in the next coming hours. Comment section, and we'll break down the different scenarios. CBM, Crypto by Mattia, much love to you, my man. I hope you are missing me in Dubai. I hope you have a new tennis partner. I'm going to start playing golf here. I'm going to start with CrossFit. I'm going to see if I can find a partner to play tennis as well, my man. Much love to you. CBM, guys, if you don't know who he is, make sure to go and check him out. He's absolutely awesome. Awesome guy, awesome technical analyst, awesome trader. Andy, the new CVD template is sexy, man. It is definitely very, very sexy. We got a new CVD template, which is we were looking to add liquidity as well on that template, but it's I've got the OG old template, but I will be implementing. Okay, there's a few bugs that we need to fix on the new template, but that is technically live. Some people inside of the trading community are using it already. If you want access to the trading community, guys, remember you do have the word access. Send me a word here in the Telegram, and we'll jump you in. You just need to sign up throughout one of the affiliate links down below. I would suggest Bluffin, as Bluffin is absolutely awesome. That's where I have most of my bigger trading funds. Bluffin for me is a very good exchange. I'm drinking Yorkshire tea, says Nina. Absolutely awesome. Great. Naked point of control at 72.5. There is also a naked point of control at 72.5-ish, right? You know, where there is 72.6, 72.5. Just above that 7/8 Fibonacci, very close to the daily level. Okay, very close to that daily level. So there is a lot of resistance. It does have potential of front running. This is the thing. This is a zone where we have a lot of resistance above us, and it could get front run if we start getting a solid rejection back inside of the value zone. Then it's going to front run all of those levels of resistance, right? Hopefully we do create at least a local double top. Okay, that's what I'm going to be looking for. We do have some bullish CVD divergence, so I'm going to hope, based on all of these shorts that are entering on Bybit throughout the last 2 hours, which is creating those lower lows on the CVD very aggressively and higher lows of price action, to actually wick above the local highs. And that's, you know, if it were to roll down from here, then so be it. I'm still holding some of that existing swing short and look to add to that short in the next coming days, depending on the information that is given. However, with those local bullish CVDs, I mean, it would be nice to get that wick. And this is going to be a sniper execution. I think there is a valid double top situation here. And if it breaks, you know, it's just a level to level game. Where is the most sexy confluence areas? I'm going to treat 7/8 Fibonacci as so. Because, I mean, we did have a daily level here, if I'm not mistaken. This is why we bounced here also at 62.7. I'm not sure if it was a daily or a naked point of control. But there was some extra confluence when we did bounce, right? From that pivot low, pivot high, 7/8 Fibonacci retracement. Beautiful bounce, I have to say. And I'm not too sure if many people did long here. I can't even remember if I longed. I'll have to check the stream or the history on the Telegram. But can't remember if I longed here, to be honest. Maybe. You let me know, because I can't remember. But we bounced nicely at the 7/8, right? So I'm going to treat this 7/8 Fibonacci as the same. Managing risk very, very well. You know, I'm not going to put stop loss over here, right? Stop loss is going to be relatively close for that possible reaction and, you know, rejection if possible. Note that you know, if we do get momentum to the upside continuing, and it breaks the you know, the 7/8, it breaks the daily level, and we trade above it, I don't have any short. We need to tap into the levels and reject from them. When we reject, that's when I can enter the trade, because I'm putting stop loss above the highs of the rejection here. It's irresponsible to trade with, I'm going to add to a short position, or I'm going to add to a long position, right? Add to shorts, add to longs against the momentum, unless you reject at certain specific resistance or support levels. You know, there's no entry for the trade. And only I will add once I have, you know, clarity about this being an impulse down and this being corrective, which could be the case, but it's not enough information. I don't have enough information. If we were to get a solid, you know, impulsive move down here and then the bounce, which looks very corrective, that's the moment that I would say, all right, guys, you know, this is just days away, right, from rolling over. But till I don't get that, then eventually we have the bullish scenarios, which is, you know, breaking out, you know, taking out 74k plus. So it's as Suzanne said, it's dangerous to short. For me, it's dangerous to add to my existing short, because it's not enough clarity here for me to add to this short. You know, there's no way. I've got a good entry, a few spikes here to the upside before the reversal. Then once we have weakness, we get back inside the value area low. with an impulsive move down, then naturally, you know, the bounce is where I'm going to be looking to add to that short. Swing short, this is for many weeks, right? If it does come to fruition. So who's ready for a little bit of Elliott wave theory on the lower time frame? Or shall we stick just with order blocks, volume profile, daily levels, weekly levels, previous week and previous month levels, which we're basically above all of the previous week levels. You know what is interesting? The weekly chart. S&P 500 came down to the very low here of this higher low right there and got a nice beautiful bounce coming into the week. Very nice to see a pretty decent recovery on the S&P 500 back inside of the value area zone. But what is interesting on Bitcoin here is the weekly chart, which has a pretty nasty wick, right? Pretty nasty rejection wick here that we had last week, okay, on the weekly chart. It is true that sometimes the price likes to fill most of the wick, right? The next week we like filling the wick. So you know, this is the thing, the possibility of forming a lower high here does look very attractive. It does look very attractive. However, as a trader, I need to understand that you either catch a double top here, okay, locally, which are very, very great from risk management, or if I don't double top, the next level that I'm looking at is the 7/8 Fibonacci. You know, I'm going to treat it as so. Okay, so who's ready for a bit of Elliott wave theory? Let's go through comment section. Liquidity clusters. We can check liquidity clusters. There's great news tomorrow. There is inflation rate tomorrow, guys. There's going to be some volatility. Let's see how inflation is doing. We'll know by tomorrow. This is at 4:30 Central European time, if I'm not mistaken. Yes or not? No, wait, my bad. It's at 1:30 Central European time. So tomorrow got inflation rate, but liquidity clusters, I have to say, we're naturally sweeping some short liquidations here to the upside, as you can see. You know, it's moving up, sweeping up liquidity, eventually above 74k. There is that liquidity. You know, I'm part of that liquidity. Well, it's not above it. Stop loss is at break even at a slight profit on that short, but there is significant amount of short liquidations above 74k, but there is a lot below 65k as well, right? Lots of liquidity down here, and if the price decides to roll over, I think it's going to do it pretty heavily, right? Pretty fast to start moving down impulsively, right? Liquidity cluster, there's significant liquidity to the downside as well, as we can see. There's enough. It's pretty equal when we do take a look between 60k and 79k. It's pretty equal based on shorts and longs, I have to say. We've got a few nice spikes above 74k of short liquidations, and of course to the downside the biggest spike is at 64, which is naturally below that 65k higher low that we formed, 66 higher low that we formed on Sunday. Lots of liquidity there. So anyway, let's go right away through the comment section. Let me know, guys, are you feeling bullish? Are you feeling bearish? Mariella, much love. Love Elliot alone. Leave Elliot alone, but I know you'll end up doing Elliott wave anyways. Just a little bit. We need to touch it a little bit. We need to touch Elliott wave a little bit, okay? I'm sorry, but we need to do it at least a little bit, okay? We'll keep it for later, okay? I know a lot of people like, you know, screw all of that Elliott wave BS. I actually got a nasty DM last week saying, your Elliott wave analysis is BS. There's so many scenarios, you're just confusing. You know, I used to be a volume profile guy, you know, order blocks, fair value gap, just looked more for scalp and day trade opportunities. But Elliott wave has helped me to more for the swing trading perspective, I have to say, because you know the idea of getting into this short position at the you know, anchored VWAP was analyzing this to come to an end right there, and we're just looking at the latest move up. You know, is there a potential here to form a last zigzag up? Right, you got zigzag up here to the upside, complex WXY. It's just ending up in a three-wave move, right? Coming into this very good zone. And I'm like, you know, if we go very detailed on the lower time frame, you're going to say, well, there might be another 4 in 5 that could be on the formation, which that's what we talked about. But I'm like, I don't know if we're going to get another 4-5. If we reject from anchored VWAP, I'm going to get into the shorts. If we correct here and we end up taking out the high again and I get stopped out from that short, if we double top, I'm going to enter a new short position, stop loss at the high, right? It's just at the end of the day, you need to have those attempts with good risk management. And, you know, so far we did move down nicely in that impulse. This does look more impulsive to the downside. However, there is a nasty, ugly looking running flat right there. And this is your wave 1. It's extremely ugly. There is one scenario that Joy talked about, and this is inside of the Telegram. Diagonal. Christoph, I see a diagonal. I don't think Elliot wave is BS. It's just not my cup of tea, and I know many people loves it as much as you do. Elliot, go Elliot wave army. Much love, Mariella. Thanks for joining the stream. Much love to you. Mariella actually came to visit when I was living in Dubai. We had a great day. We had good lunch, chilled out. Much love to you, Mariella. I didn't meet Mariella in person in Dubai. Much love to you. Who is Elliot? Good question. Anyway, let's go through. Other strategies are so much simpler. Yeah, I mean, this is why, considering scalp day trade entries, sometimes you just need a Fibonacci pivot, right? Such as this one right over here, you know, that we talked about. Fibonacci high to the low, low to the high, 7-8 Fibonacci. You know what? From this pivot high to the pivot low, the 7-8 Fibonacci could reject. It could actually be the high here and roll over later on throughout the next coming days. It's actually an entry point, right? And the clearest example would be, you know, this pivot low to the pivot high. So you don't need Elliot wave theory to get into that trade. You just need Fibonacci, right? So, but anyway, it all depends. It all depends. I always look at all of the different tools and indicators that is going to improve, you know, my analysis. Sometimes Elliot wave theory, it is true that you're going to get 10 scenarios. And the good thing is that you're going to eliminate those scenarios as it goes, right? You just eliminate them as it goes, which in this case, we have been eliminating many, many different scenarios. For me, I would be happy for this to be the high. You know, there is the potential of this being the high. And has the potential of coming down in the coming weeks to 60,000. It has the potential. Just as we had the potential in this zone, right? Because we talk potential. We were not 100% sure that I was not 100% sure that we were going to come down and that this was going to be the high. But there was potential for it, right? Discussing Elliot wave theory here, looking at the internal waves. And the same applies here. The same applies to this range. After this downtrend, you have a 3-wave move because you got the low, the high, a higher low, and a higher high. You connect the dots and then there's a 3-wave move. You connect this movement to the downside and it does look impulsive. Naturally, inside of a bear market, you know, if this is coming into levels of resistance, which is the anchored VWAP that we mentioned last week, which is the reason of that short. This short was given on stream. It's like, guys, you know, I'm looking for the anchored VWAP to reject. If we do reject, that's where I enter. And local double tops. So I had 2 attempts here, guys. okay? Because I have a lot of the questions of when do you get into the SFP? When do you get into the rejection? And it's a great question because a lot of people want to know, when do you exactly enter the trade? And I had 2 attempts. I got stopped out on one, which was at break even. I was defensive. But when you connect the anchored VWAP here and you go to the lower time frame, I already had 1 attempt here. But obviously the short is below the anchored VWAP, stop loss at the high. However, we discussed, guys, depending on where we correct here, if it goes lower or if it goes, or sideways, it doesn't matter. If we take out this high again, I'm going to attempt a double top. Because, this literally happened back here from this other anchored VWAP from all-time high. We actually double topped outside of the anchored VWAP. You can see on the 4-hourly candlestick, you created a double top right there. So, yeah, I'm going to treat this zone as so, guys, as so. This is a lower high territory. It is a lower high territory, and I know it can reject. It definitely can reject. Of course, we have the bullish case. We do have the bullish case, and we're going to break down now the lower time frames. Okay, smash up that like button. Let's see, get that like to we're over 400 people watching at the moment, so we're going to break down now we'll break down the 15-minute, 5-minute time frame, discuss a little bit of what's going on here. What is the most bullish case scenario? Does the price have possibilities of snapping out from here with increasing volume? Of course there is that possibility, and that has to do with multiple 1-2s being built up here throughout the last 2 days. Let's get to 200 likes. I'll go through the comment section and we'll break down exactly this structure and how the price, how could the price evolve right throughout today and tomorrow to discuss the different movements that could happen. Let me just go around the table, get a drink of tea, and I'll be back in 10 seconds as we do get to 200 likes, guys. Let's go. Yes, we didn't get to 200, but we got about 20 likes. That's good enough for me. Good enough for me. All right, let's go. Long in the top. Nope. Yeah, this is the thing. I mean, the only things we could have here for a long, if you want to get into a long on these retracements, there's a big problem here. They're very shallow retracements. Preferably you do get a better retracement here. It's just very hard to get into these long positions. Risk reward is not great. Naturally, the momentum is up, okay? Naturally, the momentum is up. You don't know how many highs you can create if you're going to break the local highs, but the momentum in the last 2 days is bullish. It is bullish. We are here to discuss the potential detection of the high. The zone to long would have been in this downtrend momentum, right? As explained on Friday, right? We're looking for a few 4-5s here coming into this 67, 66k range, and on Sunday, Monday, we're looking likely for a bounce, right? It's just very, very likely that we do get that bounce coming into this week. Now, preferably we try and long down here, right? Not all the way up here into resistance. It's just very complex. You can long these shallow retracements, but it's a stop loss situation here. If I'm long in here, do I put stop loss beneath the last higher low? If you're fine and managing risk and attempting these, you're uptrending. These are very, very shallow pullbacks. Naturally, okay, a longer pullback is preferred for the long trade. We had a scenario that we were discussing inside of the trading community today, which we did go through many different Elliott wave scenarios, and one of the latest ones is, do we build up multiple 1-2s here, right? Which could still be part of an ABC, but very, very locally, you know, the most bullish case scenario is, do we see this as a wave 1? This is a wave 2. That would be your invalidation. This is the longest consolidation. You do have a 5-wave move up from here. Consolidation in a wave 2, either in a running flat or a WXY, doesn't really matter. And then you have your wave 1. You could get this as an ABC. You know, is this a wave 2, lower time frame, or do we get a flat? Okay, which was the case. We did actually come down to the 69.9k zone. We did actually come down here just a few hours ago and got the bounce from here. So a higher low here was still very much a possibility. As you can see, it's like, you know, you form a higher low here or a higher low here. The invalidation is to treat it as, if the price comes down this zone, it's much better to get, you know, stopped out. I don't want to be in a long position if the price does come down to the invalidation, because then, you know, I realize that this could be a 3-wave structure to the upside as well. And, you know, we want more information to detect, you know, if it is going to be bearish or bullish. You know, these are local setups. Of course, you can still retrace down here and form a higher low in an ABC flat for this wave 1. That's one of the scenarios that I want to discuss right now here on the most bullish case. Of course, you got the bearish scenario, which would be a WXY, which I'll break down right away, which is also fits nice here for this to be a flat. So on that bullish case, coming into resistance, so, you know, you need to see a breakout in a wave 3 here, which I have my doubts. I do have my doubts. For me, it's not the favorite one, even though we're uptrending. Okay, very much more interested up here in executing a short position rather than a long, because we've had a great uptrend in the last 1 to 2 days, right, since Monday morning. Your first wave 1 would have to be this one right over here, right? You have a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? Your fourth wave is a running flat right over here. You have your correction, the longest one, longest correction here for your wave 2. And then you have your wave 1, your flat scenario here, which was very much possible. Okay, this was the analysis. You know, your invalidation is this low. You could form a flat. You actually created a swing failure pattern from that low pivot, okay, of your A wave. We're speculating that this is an A wave, this is a B wave, and that's a C wave, right? This could also happen, right, in the most bullish case. So naturally, you would want to see a bit more of a pullback. You're still maintaining higher lows and higher highs. This could be a wave 1, ABC flat. You sweep up the recent higher lows for that ABC flat, and we just tapped into that level, formed a little SFP right there, and then got the movement to the upside. So that's, you know, that would have been your second wave 2 option. As so here, it's your wave 1, ABC flat here for your wave 2. Do we end up breaking out, of course, in that wave 3? This is a bit of a shallow pullback, I have to say. But naturally, the bullish case scenario, for me, I would prefer a bit more of a pullback, a bit of overlap from that wave 1. And you have 3 1-2s, right? 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, and then you end up breaking out. And that's your invalidation here, basically, for the multiple 1-2s. You know, I'm more of a bear. I like to be more of a bear. You know, this scenario is possible, but one of them that looks very attractive at the moment is that double zigzag. Double zigzag does look very, very nice indeed, which would be this one right over here, and then your zigzag from here, where you have your move up flat and another move to the upside here. That is forming a W. You can count. This is the thing about the lower time frames. You've got so many pivots and lower highs. You can have a bullish case, you can have a bearish case, you can have multiple ones. But this would be the wave W, your wave X right there in that flat, running flat that is. And then now the double zigzag, the last zigzag, okay? You got your A wave flat and then the move up here that is coming into the levels of resistance, which we have been discussing throughout the last 30 minutes, right? Taking into consideration the higher time frame, you have the 3-wave move, you got the impulse down, double zigzag right here. The timing is just about right. You're crossing the 382 Fibonacci time, that is. This has very much, this is a zone of interest for me to execute a short. And where would I short? Well, the thing is, I need to be patient at this moment. I need to be patient. We are getting the reaction here above this range, right? As you can see. So it's getting a reaction above this consolidation, little downtrend consolidation that we had on Friday, Thursday, Friday. And we just swept the highs, right? Sweeping the highs. You got that fair value gap. And that's where the price is reacting. I mean, it is a, the reaction is happening. The reaction is definitely happening. What is not favoring too much the short entry here is Bybit bros are shorting here. We do have local bullish CVD divergence, right? There's higher lows on price action, and Bybit here in the yellow, right? You do have lots of shorts entering, right? Well, lots. It's not that many really. There's 322, almost 433 on the delta here, but there are shorts creating those local bullish CVDs. So that's not favoring too much the I short now, right? This is why when I like to read the CVD, I'm so aware that the people that are shorting here get stopped out and then the price rejects. This is why applying CVD divergence, understanding that there's lots of people shorting here, if the market makers are going to decide that they want to dump this, they do see on the data that there is shorts entering here, and there's still that little bit of liquidity to the upside. So if they wanted to dump, it's very, very common to see that. I'll sweep up those highs first and then I'll roll over. If that is the case, I need the double top. I need the price to wick above those highs, because that wick is going to be my stop loss. And then, we'll see. Then I can be defensive, 2-to-1, 3-to-1 risk reward. I can collect some profits, but that's going to be basically what I'm going to be waiting for here on stream. Do I get it or do I not get it? That is the main question, right? As a very patient trader, it's like, well, there's a trade around the corner. If it's not today, it's tomorrow. But based on that, price rolls down from here. I didn't get into a new fresh short. Price pumps out and breaks the highs. I don't short. Price wicks the highs and trades beneath the highs. I got a quick sniper execution possibility. Understanding that we are at, crucial zone. We are getting resistance. This is a zone where you want to see the price breaking out, not dancing around. If you dance around, there's resistance. That there is a good chance of rejection here in this territory. As there is a good chance of rejection, the best option to manage risk is a local double top. There's just, there's no more to it, right? Then you have the people that would say, screw that, I'm just entering a short here. I'll put stop loss somewhere over there, right? And, if we go higher, I'm just going to add to the short. Well, then it's like, well, good luck to you, right? Hopefully it does reject. And you get an awesome entry and you build up a massive short. But, we got to hope that you don't get stopped out after adding so much to that position, right? We never trade like that. Never. Never, ever, never, 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 never. So anyway, for this to be a double zigzag, which I like very much, I like it very, very much, I have to say, I will miss a local short entry, okay? If you're happy to, you know, this is actually a zone where you can get into an SFP from this mini range high, right? This is an acceptable SFP zone. One of the main reasons why is because you're already trying to attempt to break above the value area high, right? It is trading above value area high, but I wouldn't consider this a awesome breakout, right? Value area high and value area low of a major range is not an exact science, right? You can get the fake outs, okay, of the value area low and value area high. And it is actually quite common to fake out of the value zone. So, you know, when I do take a look at these little ranges, you got a bit of an order block right there, which is this mini range. It is acceptable for an entry. However, you know, this is one of the zones where USFP wants, I want to see a big rejection, right, in the next hour, and then a pullback up and then move down. The moment you consolidate here for so long, it's creating like a little bull flag, right? It's just forming a little bullish consolidation. You're getting bullish CVD divergence. You're getting Bybit bros shorting here significantly. Bullish CVD divergence. You're like, I don't like this SFP anymore. I don't like it, right? Too many shorts entering here. You got bullish CVDs. Then what's the plan next, right? Well, the plan next, I'm looking for the local double top. Let's see if we squeeze those shorts that are entering in this zone and then get into the short on the rejection. If this doesn't play out, then I'm looking for the 7-8 Fibonacci, guys. What can I say? Hopefully we do get a local scalp entry here. So let's see. Regarding this corrective structure to the upside, let's go through the comment section. You're right, retracing rapidly. All pump by the bull flag since Monday. All pump by the bull flag since Monday. What's the name of the footprint charting you're showing? It's Exo chart. Exo chart. Good luck to you. Brazil in the house. Much love, Alex. Thanks for joining. 85K, it will, but not this year. It is becoming a little bit optimistic to go all the way up to $85,000 in the next coming weeks, I have to say. It is without a doubt possible. It is. It's not that far away. But that would be being a little bit optimistic, I have to say. So yeah. Thanks, Legend. Lonaja, much love. Maybe by the end of this year. Is that to 86K, 85K? Got trapped in the pump right after New York Open. Glad this stream is free because I got no dollars. Ash, much love to you. Keep smashing the like button, says A Trader. Thank you very much. So close to 200 likes. Close to 200 likes. Come on, legends. You lazy buggers. Do us a favor. It's free to smash up the like button. Right, let's go through why I would prefer, which has been explained for over a week now, almost 2 weeks, I would say. Why do I prefer this scenario where we form a lower high in this territory? It all has to do with the general context, right, of the last few weeks, even the last couple of months. Major downtrend move down, very corrective looking structure. you know, hence the main reason of that short on the anchored VWAP. It would be a little bit sad. It would be sad to get stopped out, because this was going to be my trade of the month, which is, it's still the trade of the month, I have to say. It was a, you know, I've collected some significant profits, but I wanted to make this a very, very good short trade. But regardless, profits were taken. If it does pump up, the long position that was taken on Monday morning was very bad entry, but it was, you know, if I don't catch a major low or an SFP based on the price action that we were discussing on Friday for the weekend, because longing into, you know, Sunday, Monday was the plan that we gave, you know, a couple of days before. If you watch the stream from last Friday, extremely aware that we're likely going to hold the point of control here, value area low territory, and into the weekend we're likely going to chop in a small channely downtrend, which is looking for those 4-5s, right? And, you know, naturally looking for that bounce into the week, right? Might be Sunday night, might be Monday morning when markets open eventually. And it happened on Monday morning, right? This is where we're currently at, but of course, right, trading at the value area high of this trading zone. This on the chart is the bullish case scenario, where you have a 1-2, a 1-2, multiple 1-2s. But let's discuss the bullish case here, which could rip, guys. It could literally rip to the upside. And I would just have to say, guys, remember that bearish case scenario that I was talking about for over a week? You have to do the walk of shame and say, guys, you know, it's completely wrong. But, you know, then on the other side, on Friday, we're discussing that I prefer to form a lower high here in this 71k region, value area high, fake outs, which is literally where we're at. That does not, you know, avoid you to get into a long position at this 66k region, right? Sunday night or Monday morning. It doesn't avoid you to get into the long, because a bounce in this zone was very likely. Then will value area high provide that resistance? Are we going to form a corrective structure, or are we going to break out? It doesn't have, you know, even though I have a favorite bias on the higher time frame, it's not going to avoid me to get into a long position when we analyze the local time frame, because it was very, very likely into the weekend that we were going to create this small channely downtrend into the 66k region and then get the bounce. Obviously, you know, if you're in that long position, I got into a very bad long position here, guys. You know, for me, it would have been epic to get into the long, you know, on an SFP right over here of this higher low, right? Detecting the last 4-5 scenario, right? And you like catching this consolidation right there for the long. I entered a very, you know, bad long position in this zone. But this is, you know, if I enter a bad long, I'm going to decrease the amount of capital that I'm entering it with. Okay, if I can catch the high, you know, I will go heavy, because I know how to manage risk on that position. My stop loss is above the high. It's a small, tight stop loss. If I attempt a couple of trades here on that short on the anchored VWAP, right? You just don't know how well. This was a swing short idea. You know, a big rejection was very much the plan here for this. But if you're catching the local double tops, I mean, your stop loss is looking like this. You got one attempt right there, and then your second attempt, which is the one that I entered as well. These are the stop losses compared to the risk to reward that you can make, right? If you're catching a major pivot with good confluence. And I had 2 attempts here, and this was live on stream on Wednesday. You know, if I get stopped out from this one, I'm going to get into a local double top if we double top naturally, which is that existing short position that I'm in from last Wednesday. On Friday, we were talking about this bouncing zone. It was Sunday night, very late night, early morning, Monday. I was sleeping, I wasn't in front of the chart to catch this trade. But understanding that a larger bounce is available, I'm going to enter a long position with lower capital in this zone, just because I don't want to miss the bounce. What if it is more bullish than I thought? And obviously want to be positioned as well, understanding that a bounce is likely, right? It's just the bounce is likely. I prefer a lower high here. I'm not going to change my mind on that. But the getting into this bounce of, a few $1,000s from the 66, 67K zone was a scenario coming into the week. So why do I prefer, if you ask me, right? I'm not in favor based on lower time frames. You got multiple 1-2s, or you got a 5-wave finish. You could form a flat still here and then move up. It's not clear with this uptrend overlapping structure. You have multiple 1-2s. You can fit an impulse finish. You have a WXY that has a possibility. And this is why I like to zoom out and take into consideration my overall bias, right, from the higher time frame. I take into consideration, what does look cleaner? Is it the bearish case or is it the bullish case? I have to say the bearish case looks cleaner based on the price action that has evolved throughout the last few weeks. And that's just using, Elliott wave rules and timing. It's purely based on the rules, not because I like it more. It's just following some guidelines and some rules. And obviously, there's a one probability that has a little bit more favor, right? And that would be the bearish one for me. The bearish scenario, which has been explained throughout the last 1 to 2 weeks, since we got this price action developed last week, or even 2 weeks ago, is looking at this as, I'm not going to go too complex here, but looking at this as a 3-wave move, corrective move, right? Similar to this one right over here that we did have a few months ago, right? Very corrective-y, 3-rangey move, right? You got a low, you got a high, you got a higher low, or higher low here in this case, and then this high, right? It's a 3-wave move coming from a major downtrend, right? We're in a bear market at the end of the day. Let's not forget that. So when we do take a look at the downtrend that we formed here throughout January, part of the first week of February, and then we analyze this rangy structure, I have to say, where's the low here? Where's the first high here? Where's the last higher low here? Where's the last higher high here? When I connect the dots, we have a bit of a 3-wave move. So you can label it as you wish. I prefer a WXY, just as a zigzag. You finished here in a triangle, okay, WXY, or a general triangle here, okay, for your wave X, and then a zigzag up here for your wave Y. You can fit in an ABC if you want as well. 3-wave structure. With that said, we have an impulsive move to the downside. This fits in very nicely as an impulse. You've got a few 1-2s, the 3, and the few 4-5s into the weekend. Now you're getting this bounce. When we do analyze this structure, which we did have the WXY very, very nicely here, the movement down fitted better as an impulse. I have to say, this formed a shallow ABC running flat. For the moment, when we compare this with this move, we're getting a sharp bounce. This is a sharp bounce to the upside. Similarities are there. 3-wave move, 3-wave move. impulse down, and now, you know, this bounce is looking a bit intimidating. It's like, yeah, it might be more bullish than you think, right? It might be more bullish than you think. Maybe it's not going to play out as this scenario, but I just want you to see the similarities, right? Of not only, I mean, even the anchored VWAP from all-time high. This one, you had the anchored VWAP from 98K, this major pivot. So lots of similarities here based on this range. And this is why I would lean more on, I prefer this range to be corrective and give a chance for the bears here. But I had no new short positions in the last few days, in the weekend, right? It's like, we need to get a bounce. We're likely going to get that bounce coming into Sunday night, Monday morning. A bounce would be nice to 70, 71K, which is where we're currently at. However, this bounce has been, this structure is maintaining pretty damn good. This is a very, very strong, bullish structure, which combining, you can have, when you combine Elliott wave theory on the 15-minute time frame, 5-minute time frame from an uptrend like this, the possibilities are endless. You can squeeze in here all sorts. You can squeeze in a WXY, you can squeeze in a wave 1, a wave 2, a wave 1, another wave 2, another wave 1 and 2 could happen here, and then boom, you break out in a third wave, as long as you maintain the higher lows for the multiple 1-2s. Last one is this one, of course. Today we had this one as the invalidation for the multiple 1-2s, as explained inside of the trading community, because we give the options that could happen inside of a trading community, right, as invalidations, and give the different options that could happen on the lower time frame. Of course, zones of interest for scalps, okay, either longs or shorts. If you are interested in the trading community, guys, you do get daily updates from myself and Devilt, possible setups that we are looking at. Make sure to send me the word access. Super simple to join, guys. You just need to sign up throughout one of the affiliate links down below. Bluffing is one of my favorites. Send me the word access. We can hop you inside of the trading community. So going back to this, it would be my favorite scenario. A lower high would be my favorite scenario. Don't get me wrong here. When I come here as well as an educator, I'm in no new shorts. I missed out on this, SFP from the highs. Could have got stopped out at break even. Regardless if it does reject from here, and it does get a big rejection if you did get into an SFP, which we did give the option inside of the trading community. An SFP from the local highs here is acceptable. Your stop loss is looking extremely small. The risk to reward could be massive. This has the possibility of being the highs, or getting very close to the highs. You don't need to fear a stop loss like this. Absolutely not. You can even have a second attempt, which is what I had on last Wednesday. The thing is, I'm not too picky at the moment with a new short. I have to say, this is for people that haven't entered a short. I haven't added to my short here. I did take some profits, naturally expecting the bounce into the week. But overall, yeah, this has a possibility of being the high, and then price really starts moving down. Do you think that, should you get affected by any local double tops here? Because, when the price rejects, do you think you're going to care about this stop losses? No. I mean, come on, right? It's an awesome zone where the price could reject, and getting into these SFPs, double tops, you're hitting the golden pocket, actually getting above the golden pocket right now. You have the value area high, which is could be that fake out zone. When I do take into consideration the general context, 3-wave correction, impulse down, a lower high here, golden pocket to the 7-8 is the zone where you want to speculate in the internal double tops. You break the highs, then you look for the 7-8, but you don't maintain in that short position, like adding to the short, just in case, what if it does break out, right? You don't want to get hurt. you want to trade responsibly. So I mean, that's just explaining a little bit here on execution, right? On execution and managing risk, which is the most important thing that YouTube, crypto trading and YouTube needs more education about, right? Not analysis and order flow and market cipher B and A. It's about executing the position and managing risk. That's where we need education on, right? Not in the best indicator in RSI is oversold or overbought. It's about managing the risk, the trade, understanding your risk tolerance, right? How much can I lose here? Can I afford a stop loss? Can I re-enter on a local double top? And eventually, that's how we go, right, legends? That's how we go. Much love to everybody. Let's go from Friday's highs. S&P 500, SFP. S&P 500. Friday highs. Oh yeah, it is creating a little bit of a... It didn't quite reach. Maybe the SPX did. It depends on which one you're looking at. It depends on which one are you looking at. Futures. Yeah, just about missed it. Just about missed that SFP. But anyway, we are mainly more focused here on Bitcoin. So let's talk about the bullish case, even though you will know that my favorite scenario is the bearish one here. But the bullish one is also the one that we explained on Friday, right? What if we have a multiple 1-2 or a big running flat? Okay, we talked about multiple 1-2 here, but this second 1-2 was a little bit out of whack. So, I would rather, if we can cut a 1-2, even better. But the bullish case is literally looking at this, right? Which is you have your wave 1 right over here. Wave 2, obviously 3, 4, 5 later on. And then this is your wave 1, and this is your wave 2 in a horrible running flat, which is, I don't know how many times longer it is, but it's well over 6-7 times longer. If we were to consider this your wave 2 here in an ABC, about 7 times longer in an ABC running flat, because you have that impulsive move down. It's what fits better. This does look very impulsive to the downside, so it doesn't look like 3 wavy. This is why we eliminate the 1-2 here. It would fit better as a running flat. But yeah, we have so many issues here with this scenario based on there's no hard invalidation. It's just the timing that doesn't favor this scenario, which is looking for a wave 1, your wave 2 here over 5 times longer from your wave 1. This wave 1 running flat, also 7 times longer. So for this to be something bullish, it's very, very complicated. It is complicated. Timing is not in favor, which is decreasing the probabilities naturally. And the bearish scenario fits in much better. Let's talk about a leading diagonal that Joy pointed out. I mean, it's just like looking for a bullish scenario from here, right? It's like the momentum is bullish. You're forming higher lows. You're breaking out. Come on, this is when you do the analysis here. I can't remember exactly the bullish case, but it was I think it was a leading diagonal in a wave 1. There was either the WXY here finishing in a, oh crap, WXY there finishing in a, oh my goodness, let's go, let's start again. There is a bullish scenario. There always is, even though it looks bad. There was a triangle right there to finish a WXY right over here, right, where you had your zigzag and NW, your wave X right there, and you had A, B, C, D, E to finish your wave Y. That's to finish your wave 2. There was a wave 1 leading diagonal not great. Which is, you know, leading diagonal for a motive wave is rare. It didn't end up being a leading diagonal, even though, you know, you have to consider the bullish case. You know, WXY for wave 2, that's all good and nice. Timing wise, it was pretty good. But then the bullish scenario here was 1 2 1 2. You know, can we form multiple 1 2s to then break out in a third wave? The main issue here was the leading diagonal, which is rare. Okay, if you can count a WXY, double zigzag, or any other corrective structure, it will always have higher probability and priority than a bullish motive wave, right? Starting in a wave 1 in a leading diagonal, which is, you know, it is actually quite rare. So everything pointed out that this was likely going to be corrective rather than, you know, a motive wave being developed. Same kind of applies here. You know, there's a lot of red flags for the bullish case. Red flags that, you know, it doesn't mean it's invalidated, but it just doesn't look good, right? If we were to expect 1 2 and a 1 2, because you don't have an impulse here finished here. You know, there's a 3-wave move. You can't fit in here nothing, so you need to go with 1 2s, 1 and 2. There is not a finished 5-wave move here. It's a 3-wave move, so you need to fit in multiple 1 2s of some, you know, degree here, and this would be the main one basically, which is not great. I have to point out, this is something that Joy shared inside of the community. A lot of people like to speculate on diagonals when the wave 4 is not in, basically. But I have to say, you know, sometimes I've seen people speculate on diagonals. You know, when we're having the wave 2, right? So you have this price action, and people already speculating on this, right? Which is like, hey, come on. I mean, let's get most of the diagonal being developed, and then we can speculate. Because what is great about a diagonal is not so much longing the wave 4, but it's actually shorting the wave 5 potential. But yeah, a leading diagonal here, you know, let's leave it as it is possible. The invalidation of the leading diagonal here in this case would be the base channel when you connect wave 1 and 3 and your wave 2, which is you know, it is pretty far away. Hang on a minute, let's get this straight. You got a bit of room here for the wave 4 still. So yeah, if I were to consider a new long position, could wave 4 be here? I mean, this does look more impulsive, so I would rather see one more low. Could you speculate on a bounce here after sweeping the lows of Sunday? I mean, we're still in a range at the end of the day. We still have the value area low. Value area low, I mean, you could create that fake out scenario here if you're speculating on a diagonal, right? Which is your wave 1, wave 2, 3, 4, and 5. This would have to be a leading diagonal because you're starting from the low. Again, that's, you know, a low probability scenario to develop. This is why, you know, haven't been considering it throughout the last few days, really. But it's possible. It's definitely possible. The good thing about this, if we were to come down in a 3-wave move, if we, you know, this could actually be a zone to consider a long after sweeping up that higher low from Sunday, and even these higher lows, right? You just create that liquidity grab from the higher lows. There could be a long entry here for a local bounce. Okay, I would be more in favor of the 1 2 1 2, right? But there is a long entry, just like there was a long entry on throughout the weekend, based on what we explained on Friday. Despite me feeling a little bit more bearish on the higher time frame, we could have a long possibility on Sunday or Monday. you know, at this 67, 66K region. That, you know, even higher time frame looks more bearish for me based on the reading, based on the probability. This shouldn't stop you to get into a long position, right? At the value area low of the range, looking for the 4/5s, looking for a SFP level, and then look for the bounce. It shouldn't stop you longing, because you know, I can have a favorite scenario. I can feel like there's higher probability for one scenario, but I need to understand where there is longing opportunities. And on Sunday or Monday morning, there was actually a long opportunity. There was actually a long opportunity throughout Monday based on this momentum, right? We were explaining on Friday where this high volume node was likely the wave 3. If you get a few 1-2s and then the wave 3, you're looking for a few 4/5s here to naturally get this bounce. So it doesn't have to stop you if I'm very bearish, but I'm short from here, right? Remember, I'm short from very high, a very comfortable position to be in. I am going to collect some profits naturally, understanding that a reversal bounce is very much possible into the week. And, you know, a long position here throughout Sunday evening, Monday morning, depending on where you are, you know, is not a bad option, because there's a bullish case. You know, what if this is the low? What if this 5-wave move to the downside ends up being part of a flat, right? Because the only way you can fit something that ends in an impulse and then you reverse and take out the highs, you need a combination of a flat, right? Can you fit a flat or a running flat? Okay. And you can, right? This could be your wave 1. This could be your running flat right there. So you can end up here a move and take out the highs, because this would be your wave 1 and that would be your wave 2 in that running flat. The only way you can finish a low in an impulse is in some kind of a flat structure. So yeah, what can we say? We were just about to scratch the 1.618. 1.618 is considered an invalidation because of a B wave of a flat, because the B waves of a flat or an expanding flat don't usually go too far away from the 1236 1382 extension of your wave A, potential wave A. So we barely missed by a few $100 the 1.618 extension. Getting above this level, I wouldn't have considered a B wave of a flat. It's too stretched out. It's uncommon to hit the 1.618. But getting above the 382, that's all good. This is why we're like really stretching it here for this to be a running flat for the bullish case. I mean, this is breaking out in a wave 3 at some point in the coming days, right? Which could still be, this could still be another wave 1, you correct, and then you break out. And then it's 1, 2, it's another wave 1 and another wave 2, it's another wave 1 and another wave 2, and then it just popped out, right, in the wave 3, getting to, you know, 75, 80K, right? We'll just have to see. But could it happen? Absolutely. It's also going to be very interesting throughout the next 24 hours, I would say. If you roll over here, bounce, roll down, bounce, and you start forming this kind of structure, then I'm going to say, right, it might be, you know, we might be shooting up after all in the next coming days once we can confirm another consolidation here. Your best chance to catch the long position, longing up here, you know the deal. It's not great. Longing would have been nice throughout the weekend, right? Sunday, maybe a Monday, understanding that bounce is likely going to happen, right? Down at the point of control, the low 66K, you know, you're looking for a little channel-y structure here that likely is going to break out right? Sunday or Monday morning. That would have been the best option to get into a long position early Monday, right? Yesterday. If you ask me, you know, I want to get into long, I think it's going to break out. I think, you know, your bearish case is going to go down the toilet and it's bullish. Well, let me, you know, point out something. This is not a great zone. It's not a great zone to long. It's not a great zone to manage risk. It's very, very difficult, of course. I mean, yeah, if we want to attempt this pullback, yeah, if this bounces right now, yeah, which it looks like it, overlaps this lower high, this is likely corrective. It's going to take out this high very likely. For the moment, you have a 3-wave move down. If this third wave fails, takes out the lower high, this is a matter of time that it takes the high. But yeah, based on the entry, I have to say, for a better day trade swing, which could take a few days, you want to see that pullback that can confirm that it is looking corrective, and it's much better to look for a better risk to reward trade to break out, at least take out the highs. But ultimately, if you're bullish, you know, you would be looking for another wave 1, 2, and then at some point break out in third wave. Better to get that proportion pullback from the impulse that we've had in the last 2 days, to then say this looks corrective, it's flagging out, it's a bull flag, you're getting lots of overlap. If you can detect that 3-wave down that looks corrective, then, you know, this is the overlap, you know, game point here, where if you do get that spike after a 3-wave structure to take out the lower high, that's kind of the confirmation that this is corrective. So looking for a much better swing, right? Risk to reward. Long in here is, you know, yeah, you know, it's not the greatest based on risk to reward, unless you're looking for little 1-minute order blocks and stuff like that. That's all good and nice. I'm not too focused on that, but I think we should be focusing streams on intraday little scalp setups. Who's up for that? Who's up for that? A little bit of more action. You got that point of control here. Yeah, you can always treat these high volume nodes as a reactionary level. Yeah, you can always treat them as, if we're still forming some bullish CVD divergence, we're going to form some bearish ones locally here, so that's not great. We're getting some longs entering, so we got a little bit of bearish CVDs on the formation right now. Not great, but bullish CVD divergence on Bybit, there is some bullish CVDs. You got lower lows on the CVD and higher lows from the last couple of hours. You know, when you consider longing in this very local uptrend, local bearish CVDs at the moment, so it's not that great, but reactionary here. It's just not a zone that I would want to get into longs, if I'm honest with you. Understanding the rally that we've had, you know, I'm not too fancy. This would have been an epic long position based on the flat structure. Obviously SFP from the low, possibility of a wave 1, A, B, C flat. We do give the option, of course, of the levels and possibilities of how the price could move. You know, today that option was there. Do you sweep up that higher low, creating a C wave, A, B, and C, and then, you know, stretch up, which, you know, this was the bullish case. The bearish case is looking at this as a B wave. So instead of being a 1 and a 2, a wave 1 and a wave 2, it's an A wave and a B wave and a C wave, right? For that double zigzag, where you got zigzag up, correction in your wave X, and then another A wave, flat in B wave, and then the C wave, right, to finish your Y wave, double zigzag WXY. So, but yeah, that would have been the best option naturally to get into the longing in higher lows right now. You're really asking for it. You're asking for it, and you know there is a problem here of where to put stop loss. It's just not great. When I do consider the general context, right? Impulsive move to the downside. This has the potential of a WXY. We're already crossing the 382 Fibonacci, so it is good timing already for a correction to possibly end. So just trying to stretch here along into the valley area high, you know, fake out or breakout. You know, it's just not a zone that I would rather look for short entries here. As explained, SFP levels, double top, because then the price reverses and you got such an epic entry, just like the epic entry here that we provided last Wednesday. It was on stream and the strategy was explained on stream, and I did say that I'm going to go heavyweight on this short. This for me was a heavyweight short, understanding the potential of the end of a three-wave structure here on the higher time frame. And you know, this is a big move that could happen in the next 1 to 2 weeks. We got a nice move to the middle. Profits have to be collected, right? They have to be collected. As a trader, you understand the bouncing zones. What if this bounce is stronger than I thought, and then I'm stuck in this short with no profits being taken? Then, you know, I'm going to kick myself in the balls if I don't take a bit of profits. So, you know, naturally, it's how we want to try and play the game, right, guys? We try and play the game like that. Much love. Scalp action. Yes, Paz Maria Vallejos. Oil is dumping. Oil, yeah, I'm surprised. Oil just got a major spike and it created a swing failure pattern. Big correction on oil after sweeping up those highs at $101 a barrel. I do think that oil will likely consolidate here, and I would speculate that oil would go higher. However, there might have been some agreements. Stretch of Hormuz is open again, and everything's going back to normal. So it's just been a bit of a shock to the upside, but big volatility here on oil. Big rejection after creating that open on Monday. Big spike up, big correction. I would expect it to consolidate. It makes sense for oil to actually form a higher low from the triangle. It does make sense to form a higher low in this region at $70-80. But oil is a bit volatile at the moment. Mariela, much love. Mariela BTC, thanks for joining the stream. Much love to you. Paz Maria Vallejos, yes. More scalp action. Yeah, I'm a little bit rusty for scalping, really. I need to get my strategies back into scalping, but I think it would create much better streams, a little bit more activity, and need to get my scalp activity back in action. I used to scalp a lot a few years ago and look for many day trade scenarios. And the thing is when you create capital and you very well financially, you become more of a boring swing trader, which is enough. You know, a couple of trades a month is more than enough. Eventually, if you have $1,000 in the account, it is complicated to increase capital significantly by just looking for a couple of swing trades a month. But I've been leaning more into that throughout the last couple of years, and it would be nice to get the scalping boots back on to give a little bit of more action on the streams, basically, because you know right now we're just more of swing trading, major pivots to look for that swing trading entry, and it's a little bit more boring. But at the end of the day, whoever has bigger capital, then obviously can make those very sick gains. Andy, could you check Ethereum? You promised yesterday. Let's do a little bit of Ethereum analysis. Why not? What's going on with Ethereum? Long time no check. Ethereum, let's go. Ethereum daily time frame. Let's get this out of the way. Ethereum. I have to say, this consolidation does look pretty damn good on Ethereum for a bigger bounce in the coming weeks. It does look pretty damn juicy. We think we just got a bounce at the 0.88 Fibonacci here on Ethereum from the pivot low of the bear market to the pivot high. Yeah, we just bounced at the 7.8. This was a few weeks ago, of course. And we had a little consolidation, little order block right there with a high volume node if you wish. On Ethereum, we don't have any. I haven't analyzed Ethereum for quite a bit. I have to say. I would say it is just so similar to Bitcoin, I have to say. Whatever Bitcoin does, Ethereum got a bounce at the Valley area low a few days ago. This was literally on Sunday. I mean, very, very similar to Bitcoin. You got that nice impulsive move down, that big breakdown. You know, this is a classic impulse. Look at this. You know, you got a couple of 1-2s, the breakdown, and a couple of 4-5s into support, bounce, right? You could apply that same analysis that was discussed on Friday to Ethereum, basically coming down to the Valley area low, creating a few 4-5s into the weekend, and look for that bounce. It is at resistance at now, which is the Valley area high, and this could be a corrective bounce. Very choppy, very overlappy. If Bitcoin breaks, Ethereum will likely follow. If Bitcoin does reject, Ethereum will likely follow. So I have a little bit of that same feeling here for Ethereum when we analyze, you know, pivot higher low, and then next pivot high here, and, you know, impulsive move down, and, you know, do we form a lower high? Bullish case scenario for Ethereum is that you're forming stacked up multiple 1-2s, and you have a wave 1 here running flat in a wave 2. So that would be wave 1, wave 2, wave 1, wave 2, and you just look for the grinding structure here to break out in a wave 3. I'm not in favor very much of this. If Bitcoin does end up rejecting at this zone, Ethereum will likely follow. Ethereum is at resistance, as we can see on the chart. Okay, Ethereum is at resistance at that Valley area high, and we did move down impulsively, so possible rejection here on Ethereum. Of course, that depends on what Bitcoin does. Bullish case scenario, as explained, would be that ABC flat. Wave 1, ABC running flat, and you're just building up here for the breakout. It could happen. We always want to manage risk. Not much more that I can add on Ethereum. I could add up some daily levels, 4-hour, weekly levels, go through the Elliot wave scenarios on the higher time frame, but it's just very similar. Ethereum will do what Bitcoin does most of the time. So sometimes BTC pumps and Ethereum dumps. Yeah, well, that's also obviously Bitcoin has much more strength and is more reliable than Ethereum. So, but if Bitcoin takes a dump, then Ethereum has a 95% chance of following, right? BTC bull flag in the 15-minute Ethereum 8-hour accumulation range Interesting, Ashil. Do we have time to take a look at CRV? Wow, this altcoin, CRV. Wow, yeah, long time since we've done any altcoins. I mean, I kind of gave up to analyze altcoins because I understood that all altcoins are going to go to zero, right? Kind of thing. But it is coming down to the lows of the bear market, basically. It is just getting a little rangy structure here for the last few weeks from this reaccumulation that we did have throughout 2024. You know, I've seen these on altcoins and they just end up losing the lows, right? This, you know, for me, it's not, I don't trade altcoins. 95% of my trading is Bitcoin. And the other 5 to 10%, you know, might look at silver, maybe gold, maybe S&P 500. There might be a trade that I would take, but altcoins, I don't usually trade them. Okay, so CRV, very rangy structure, but I have to say it does look corrective. It does look a little bit more corrective. Fitting here, a bullish structure. It would have to be a wave 1 flat, wave 1 flat. You get the point. Altcoins are also in that kind of similar situation here. You got the point of control, which is getting rejected of this zone. Big resistance on CRV here at 25 cents, where we have the point of control of the entire range of the last few weeks. Yeah, if you ask me, I would prefer to short the bounce, right, and into the point of control on CRV in that case. Not much more that we can add on these altcoins. Thanks, Andy. I'm shorty no Ethereum, says Crypto Gardenist. Much love, my man. Binance coin is Altitude coin though. Much love, Crypto Gardenist. Late at the party, but happy to be here again with all the lovely legends. Ross, much love. Hype, very well. I will continue shorting it, Andy. Thank you. No financial advice given here. Andy, tap the like button already on my way in, of course. Thank you very much, guys, for joining. Okay, I've explained a little bit of what I would want to see on Bitcoin here. It's going to be interesting to see. I think a pullback here would be very likely, as explained. Bearish case scenario on Bitcoin is forming that lower high, higher time frame, lower high to roll over in the next coming days. Bullish case scenario would be, you know, one of the options is multiple 1-2s, which I'm not very in favor of. You know, you end up breaking out in a wave 3. It is possible, but I'm more interested in shorting here the double tops or SFP levels or the 7-8 Fibonacci with very good risk management, attempting these shorts because I understand that this could form a lower high. It's a fake out of the value area high. Longs preferably should have been taken yesterday morning, early morning, right? As discussed on Friday's stream. It's better to consider short positions here with good risk management. Naturally not shorting as you move down, but trying to catch those specific confluence levels, SFP of this consolidation, mini range. 7-8 would be the next option. And if it does break, then there's no short, right? And that's how I can only give you this information at the moment, because it does have the possibility of forming a lower high here. It does have the possibility. And to be positioned in a good long position, it would have been better Monday morning, as explained on Friday. We're looking for this to slow down in a channel and get the reversal. And for a better swing long position, we have to correct here. We have to form some kind of a 3-wavy failed impulsive move down to then look for the next bigger swing long that has the possibility, right, of going to 74k plus. You know, if you tell me about a long position here, I'm like, you know, I don't have a solid risk reward. This is a topping zone. A correction could be very much unfolding throughout the next 1 to 2 days. You know, there's not a solid long position to be taken up here, even though multiple 1-2s, I mean, could unfold, you know, and then you snap out in a third wave and you're like, oh, damn you, right? I could have gotten to the higher low. Well, I mean, I don't think this has extreme high probability, even though the possibility is there. But then you have to have your invalidations for the 1-2s, right? First invalidation today was here. Now the second invalidation is here. For the multiple 1-2s, which is the most bullish case, right? Which is ending up breaking out in a third wave here to go to above 74k. So, you know, if you are attempting the bullish structure, that's your invalidation, really, for the most bullish case. If not, we look for the corrective move throughout the next 24 hours that will be provided inside of the trading community, of course. We always look for the different setups. Devil is going to be more active than me tomorrow eventually. I actually got a bit of time tomorrow morning, so I will be joining the trading community as well, hand in hand with Devil. We might do a live stream even. I'm going to suggest that to him inside of the trading community to see if we can find some local setups. If you are interested in that, it's super simple to join, guys. Send me a DM with the word access to join the trading community on the Telegram. You just need to sign up throughout one of the affiliates, Bluffin, Velto, BTCC. You can choose anyone. You do have Bluffin with insane bonuses, up to $50,000 in rewards, depending on the volume that you move in, all of these different perks. And we can hop you inside of the trading community, and we'll be providing the updates tomorrow morning, of course, if not late this evening. Thank you, legends, for joining. Scenarios, possibilities have been explained. Higher time frame, I'm leaning a little bit more bearish. A lower high here seems attractive on the higher time frame, and bullish case, I don't like it too much. It could unfold. We always need to talk about it, but it's not my favorite scenario. Legends, thank you. You've been great today. Smash up the like button if you have enjoyed the content. Thank you very much. Bath Maria, Jerome, Chimpotin, Distance Music. Take care, and I'll see you guys tomorrow.